This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
Welcome to the Clark Connection Podcast. It's great to be with you here. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. And listen, we're going to be doing things a little bit different today. I have a special guest coming on here, Drake Vargas. He is a coaching client of mine. I've had the privilege of knowing Drake for a long time now. And I mean, even dating back to his high school days, former player of mine. But before we get into that, I kind of want to set the stage with you. And this will be more of kind of what a typical coaching client or coaching session with me. In that we're going to kind of really start it off. I'd given Drake some homework before we had our next meeting to come up with 3 goals that he wanted to accomplish in 2025. And so as we go through, you'll notice something. We're going to kind of delve into a little bit of kind of why does this make you think certain ways, so on and so forth. But also pay attention that it's sometimes you'll notice, hey, we're going to joke, we're going to laugh, there's going to be a lot of different things going on in here. And I can't really predict what we're going to go into other than knowing that we're going to talk about his goals. We're going to talk about, how to accomplish those goals. And we'll even go into his current job, his current role, how things are going with that. But before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to all my sponsors, Bobby with Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Wayne with 7K Metal Associates, we got Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery, and Joseph with Landscape Kings. Also, if you're wanting to get in touch with me, you can reach me on all social media at Coach A Clark, so at Coach_A_Clark, or via my website, CoachAClark.com. Go on there, hit me up, and I will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. This could be for a training session for you or your team. This could be a one-on-one coaching session. Hit me up, and let's just have a conversation and see how I can help you grow and become better. And so I want to also give you a couple things about Drake. So attorney Drake Vargas, he got his bachelor's in economics and minored in energy from Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. He got his Juris Doctorate from Southern University in Baton Rouge. And currently he is the law clerk for Chief Judge D. Nicole Shepard in the Division J 15 Civil Court. She is the Chief Justice. And so he's getting a lot of great things in there. That one that I will say and kind of remind everybody that as you go through and work with somebody and you're doing mentorship, as you go in and embrace, so you'll find there's a great relationship that we have. Like I said, got to know Drake since he was in high school, was able to coach him there. And so really proud of who he is, who he's becoming. And let's go ahead and let's bring on Drake. Drake, welcome to the show, man.
How's it going, Coach? Looking good.
Oh, man. You know me. I'm doing great. Any better than I'd be twins, and then I couldn't stand myself. And so, yes. So I did tell everybody before that we're going to go through, we're doing a coaching session. I do agree, or I do appreciate you agreeing to hop on here just so we can do a live session so people can see what all goes on in this, and that it's not always just a serious, like, hey, you're going to go do this type of, it's nothing super scary.
Oh, yeah. It's great being on. I've been waiting for you to ask me for a little minute. That's the crazy part, is it took this long. But, hey, I understand. Stuff happens.
Hey, I was waiting for our schedules to mesh up, man. You trying to finish that doctorate degree, man. And then you got in with the judge. It was timing. It was timing. I wanted to make sure that you were going to have the free time.
Yes, sir. But hey, I'm here. I'm ready.
And so I did tell everybody that I gave you some homework to come up with 3 goals for the year that you were supposed to come up with that you wanted to accomplish. And did you get those done?
I got 2 definite. My third one is kind of a hard one to explain, but I got 3 done for you.
All right. So give me the first one.
So the first one is be more comfortable in uncomfortable positions.
Ooh, I like
or
that.
Try to. So I can elaborate on that, or we can do the 2 and 3, and then go back and do 1, 2.
Yeah, I was going to say let's come back. So what's the second one?
The second one is when you mess up, when you make a mistake, don't immediately react from that mistake. Take a second, look at what you did wrong, and try to understand why you did that.
And what was number 3?
My third one involves, it's kind of like not everybody's going to like you. So in order for you to be successful, in order for you to do what you want to do, you have to stop trying to be a people pleaser and do what makes you the best person.
Okay, yeah, and that's a big one. And that's one I think that's hard for all of us as leaders. That third one, to not everybody will like you, because that's a big one in even my life. It's one that I often look at when I make this decision: will people still like me? But it shouldn't. You just got to know that there's always going to be somebody who's upset with you.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's why, I would not. So for the judge, for instance, she's got 2 parties right here, right? One is going to be very excited with how she rules. The other is not. But that's how it's going to be for life, man. It's always like that. You feel like half the people like you, half the people don't.
Oh yeah, I completely understand. I've seen it every day. Every rule day, people come in, don't like the way the judge rules. I see them roll their eyes and do everything, but she's the name on the door, so she's the highest judge. So you got to do exactly what she says.
Bingo. And I think that's hard to get to. You just have to be, and I think you've got some good stuff with all right, be more comfortable in uncomfortable situations, that don't react to your mistakes, or immediately react to your mistakes.
That's a better kind of way to verb it, or to say it.
Yeah, I liked how you said that. I thought those are all good ones. So let's start with the be more comfortable in uncomfortable situations. What do you mean by that?
So I don't know if you remember, the last time we talked was, I believe, when I was switching jobs.
Okay.
Remember? And so worked at this company, worked at Kinder Morgan for the past 3 years. And when I tell you I was good at what I did, I was environmental health and safety legal intern, and loved my job, loved what I did. But I knew that going forward as an attorney, I couldn't stay in that position because there was no growth, or it wasn't really growing on what I wanted to do. And so switching to the judge, I'll be honest with you, I was thrown in with the sharks, thrown in, what they say when you're feeding from a hose pipe, I was feeding from a fire hose.
Yeah.
And it was stuff I haven't done in months and years, doing extensive legal research, extensive, just basically talking to attorneys. Because for the past couple of years of my life, I was talking to your regular field people where I didn't have to speak in a sort of, in a sort of professional language where I could sort of simple it down to where it was easy for people to understand. But jumping in the position I'm in, I'm talking about, I have to know everything from the motions in limine to explaining to attorneys why this can't go forward or why this can't go forward. And I believe, I think you helped me out a good bit on being, setting your feet, understanding the whole aspect of everything. And so, I don't know, I feel like, I've been put in a lot of uncomfortable situations in my life, and I basically do the main person, or the main thing that I would do is I would, in my mind, 10,000 things just rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. I'm just like, and basically like a deer in headlights. You're just like, stop. So that's kind of where I'm at. Well, and I know a new job is going to take a while for you to get your feet settled. And so I understand that part, but it's just, even in your everyday life, you put in uncomfortable situations where you have to make a decision at that point and you just got to live with it. But even when it comes time to make some of those decisions, I'm still like stuck in like a deer in headlights.
Right. And so how do we get more comfortable in those uncomfortable situations?
See, I feel like just time will tell, I'm assuming, or I feel like the more you put yourself through those uncomfortable positions, the more you learn from it, which I believe is going to jump into the next topic of my next goal, which is to stop reacting and to take a step back. Because obviously practice makes perfect. And some decisions you make in uncomfortable situations, you're going to look back and be like, wow, that was a dumb decision. And some decisions you're like, I hope that was the best position or best thing to do at the time. But I feel just like time will tell. And then also, I feel like the best thing I did was reach out. So, like I said, when I was switching jobs, I think the first person I called was you. I called you. I called one of my old law school professors. I called an attorney. And then I had a relationship close with my old boss to where I talked to him about it. And then me and him went through the cons, the pros. I believe we did the same thing, the cons, the pros of each job, and what's it going to do in the long run. And so, but even in everyday simple situations, I believe I call you a lot on little bitty things where I'm like, oof, I don't know what to do in this position. And so I think reaching out and talking to somebody is probably like the best thing you can do if you have the time to do it. But if it's one of those things where you got to make a decision in the next 30 seconds or it's gone, I think that's kind of where I'm at, to where I'm like, and so I feel like age will help, or me. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so. I'm going to address, everybody says the practice makes perfect, which is a lie. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. Mm-hmm. I was like, come on, man. I beat that into your head for 3 years. Back when we were wearing the old blue and yellow,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I think you have to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations if you want to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And so my mentor calls it giving your stretch every day, because stretching is uncomfortable. Growing is uncomfortable. And the more that you stretch and grow. So, I mean, if right now all I can do is reach right here, but if I give just a little bit more, okay, that will eventually become my new normal, just reaching up just a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. And the more you get into those situations, it allows you to then, too, like you said, not react from the mistakes. Because you're in that position right now where you're making decisions with the information that you've been given, especially as the law clerk. And this is why I thought it was a wonderful idea for you to go and work with the judge, because you were going to get to see a lot. You were going to get to grow a lot. You were going to be in a lot of uncomfortable situations with more experienced attorneys, just more experienced people in general. You got to sometimes make a decision without her and then bring it to her. And that she's been fortunate enough that, as you've been telling me, to be able to, that same thing, she's been mentoring and coaching you as well in this area, because she can give you way more specific than I can. Way more specific.
Oh, yeah, I'm super blessed to have her as my boss and as my judge, because I'll be honest with you, I don't believe without her, some of the things I've done, I don't think could have been done without her. Because the way that's why I think the big thing is me just speaking more. Because obviously you want to do things on your own. Like, you don't want to go out, you don't want to get help. You want the satisfaction of doing it by yourself, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like reaching out in certain situations obviously is the best thing to do. Because, so she's, with my judge, she's obviously way more experienced than I am right now. But she'll sit there and she'll tell me what I'm doing, where I'm, like, what I'm missing and why I'm missing it. She knows how I think already, which I think's insane. and I've worked for her for less than 2 months, 3 months. And I'll go in there and she was like, "Oh, you're looking at this, but you need to look at this." And I was like, "That's crazy how you know that." She was like, "Look, I made the mistake before." She was like, "Trust me, it's not a big deal. You made the mistake. Now go back and look at what I'm telling you to look at and come back and tell me." And I go back, I'll look at one simple thing on the computer. I go back and I'm like, "You're like a mind reader." She's like, "Oh no." She was like, "I completely understand." And so I think working in the position I'm in with her obviously excels me above and beyond, just because I always know that whatever I need, she'll be there for my help, or she'll have my back. But then she's also the kind of judge where she's not over my head, like peeking on me. And so she entrusts me to do my job and do it at my best ability. But she knows in certain situations where some legal things are just completely broad and you have to sit there and simplify it. It's like one of them little, where it's a big, like one of them German things where it's a big thing, then a little thing, then a little thing to reach a little bitty exception. So that's what it reminds me of. And so I think that
where it's like a different doll you're talking about, where it's like you got this really big doll and then you open it up and there's another one and another.
Oh yeah. But I think going through what I'm going through and in my job aspect, I think that's like would be the best thing. But then also, I mean, people go through a lot of uncomfortable positions in my life. I mean, in life, I mean, I've gone through a lot of uncomfortable positions to where, I mean, I think one main thing is that I get in my head a lot. So I think that's why I make it uncomfortable myself. And so I think in my head, obviously, you want to be perfect. Every person wants to be perfect, but I got to understand to myself, I'm not perfect. I will make mistakes and I will make the wrong decision. And so I think that's kind of the big thing, or the biggest thing because your job, then you also have your personal stuff. And so your personal stuff, the biggest thing is like you're your own person in the mirror is the person you're battling the most. So I think that's what it is on why everything, or why when I get into these situations where I think it's 10 times worse. And I call you and I'm like, "Hey, this happened." You're like, "Why are you calling me about this?" Like, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm just like, I was like, "What?" And you said, "Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you're doing fine. Just do this, this, and this." And I was like, "Oh." And in my head, I'm like, how is this not a big deal? So I think that's what it is. It's training myself to remind myself, like, you're human. You're going to be put in these situations where you will be uncomfortable, and you just have to do what you got to do to get out of those situations or reach out for help.
Yeah. And guys, kind of like what Drake was saying right there with the coaching. So he's getting the coaching from myself. He's getting it from Judge Shepard. If you hadn't liked, subscribed, followed the show yet, make sure you give us a like, a subscribe, a follow. This is going to continue to help us bring forth more great content and more great guests like Drake. And so I think you said something that was very important there that I don't know that I want to make sure everybody caught it. That Judge Shepard is giving you a great coaching. So when you said, "Hey, she'll tell me, go look at this," I think it's that she's using that experience. One, like whenever I was coaching football, oftentimes y'all could, "Hey, did you see what so-and-so did?" And I saw the last couple results of plays. That means he took the wrong steps from the get-go, which means he got out of shape. You've done it for so long. And she's been, obviously, that being a judge is a little bit more complex than just being a football coach. But that she's allowing you to learn and grow, which is important. She's not just saying, "Oh, hey, here, it's this green pin. Take it." She's making you go see. And that's so crucial, that you get with somebody who allows you to learn and grow in that process, that they let you experience it in a relatively safe environment. Yes. While you don't make the decisions like, "Hey, I make this and this goes into effect now," she's allowing you to do what I like to call the Sid effect. Coach Sid used to do that for me all the time whenever I was a young coach. "Hey, what do you think we should do on this issue?" I'm like, "All right, I think we ought to do this." And he's like, "Great, we're going to do that." You're like, whoa, time out. But it was the same thing. He was like, what's it matter? I'm the one that's going to do it. If it doesn't work, I'd take the heat.
Mm-hmm.
If it works, I'd be like, hey, that was Drake, man. Drake came up with that idea, not me. And so you're getting a lot of great experience with that with her, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
And then the other thing that I would say that is going to help with that so I actually changed it for you to be more comfortable in uncomfortable situations, to give your stretch every day. So I'm going to change that one because I do like it though. Let's be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. But other things that you can go through and do, like I know you like to work out. So I think that's perfect. That's one of the things I think people need to develop personally is to have a good workout routine. The other one that I know you've started on since we've started working together, and I never forced it while you were in college because I'm like, he's doing a lot of this anyways, was reading. That's one thing that I think everybody, if you want to be a leader, if you're in leadership, you got to read. All leaders are readers, but not all readers are leaders. And so making sure that you're reading every day. But then you were telling me, hey, I have an hour drive or a 45-minute drive to work. And that was my favorite thing whenever I worked at EA. I had a 45-minute drive to work. And so I enrolled in Automobile U. Every single morning out on the way to school, for 5 years, I'd put in some sort of Les Brown speech or a Zig Ziglar speech, or I was part of a network marketing company, and they gave us a lot of good stuff. One of my favorites was Larry McDonald. I loved listening to Larry and Debbie McDonald. So or I would listen to the audiobooks too. So that's stuff that you can do because it's going to start giving you different ideas. All right, I was in this situation and I read something. It might have been a year and a half ago that it just
clicks in your mind. Exactly. That's what I think. I mean, generally on my Monday, well, it was my Mondays, but now my Tuesdays, I'll put on this podcast and listen to it on my way to work. And then, so I'll start to do, so my drive to the interstate is about 20 minutes in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I believe anybody who passes me thinks I'm like crazy because I'm listening to a motivational speech until I get to the interstate. And once I hit the interstate, then I switch it into I'm starting to get into audiobooks. I was always I got to have my hands on the books, but I'm starting to get into the audiobooks. And so that's what I've been doing that for the past, I think, week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it is, it's one I'll tell any and everybody that the audiobook never replaces the physical book. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, you're driving. So, I mean, you're going down the road. You're like, I didn't see that billboard before. Oh, they started built. And so even though you're listening to whatever, you're so much easily distracted versus having it physically here in front of you. Mm-hmm. The only way I can read is to stop what I'm doing and read.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Now because I hadn't asked you this in a while, especially since you started working with the judge, when do you have your time to do any reading?
And so working with the judge, I do my reading at night when I can. And so generally, that's the hard thing is that our dockets have been a little heavy. And so obviously, I mean, sometimes I'll be at work till 7 and then we'll talk. And she was like, we need to do this. We need to kind of finish this research by tomorrow if this case is coming back for tomorrow. So obviously that night, I'm going to go home. I'm going to do reading, but it's not going to be personal growth reading. It's going to be civil code reading or case reading or stuff like that. Yeah. And so
I would consider that part of your personal growth. Even so, I don't believe in professional development. I believe it's all personal growth that you happen to use on the job. And so reading through, that's giving yourself the tools you need to perform your job. Mm-hmm. So I would consider that personal growth as well. But I don't want to limit it just to that. So
yeah, that's what I told the judge is one time we were having this conversation. She was like, Ms. Vargas, what do you do for fun? And I was like, honestly, when I get home from work, I think I read like an environmental code because I want to do environmental law. And she looked at me and she was like, that does not sound fun at all. I want you to stop doing that. I was like, yes, ma'am.
Like, yeah, don't tell people. Like, don't tell people that, Drake. Man.
Or my friends would text me. They were like, oh, have you seen this new movie? And I was like, no. Have you seen the RECRA code? Have you seen the new thing they added in RECRA? And they're like, what? And I was like, oh, all right, never mind. I'll try to do something different. But yeah, I do believe I need to start doing that and sort of expanding the books I read and the things I listen to, because I've been on a big like push. I mean, obviously professional growth too is my big push is to do environmental oil and gas. So my big push is, in order to know it, you got to know it. You got to read it, you got to know it. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And so, but I don't believe that needs to be something I have to religiously do. Like I can do it in between of my personal growth stuff.
Mm-hmm. And what I would say, so one, like as I'm going through the book, I'm almost done with Atomic Habits. And one that he talks about is if you're wanting to read, and that's what I kind of figured was you were leaving early, kind of getting home late, is make up your bed and then take whatever book you're wanting to read and put that on your pillow. Mm-hmm. That way, before you get in bed, you have to pick it up and just read that. He said just read 2 pages. Like just make that the habit. Hey, I'm going to read 2 pages. I know when I got started, mine was, I set a timer. I'd pull out my phone, 5 minutes. When that timer went off, I put the bookmarker in there and was done with it because that was a lot. But it's like any other thing that you do. You didn't first day go into the weight room and bench 135. No, you probably started off with the bar. I don't remember that far back, but you started with the bar. If not, we got broomsticks or whatever to help you get there, right?
Yep.
And that's what I said. I really don't remember. So
I didn't start with just the bar. I started with 95. So I didn't start with
just 95. Right. But that's what I'm saying. And that's always the first huge that benchmark that in bench press was, man, I got 135. And then the next one was the 225 and then the 315. You don't hit those just coming in today.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Same thing on this. It's setting that time. And just being committed to doing that. And eventually you'll go from, all right, I read 2 pages to, you know what, I can read to that 3rd page. I'll read to the 4th page. I'll read to so when we break it down from, hey, I'm wanting to get comfortable and stretch and grow, to the daily one. So we need to make that daily goal. I'm just going to read 2 pages of a personal growth book.
I can make that happen. Yeah, I think what you said, putting it on my bed right before I go to sleep, open it up, read 2 pages or read a certain well, not a certain, it all depends on the book, but read a certain amount of pages every night. I think that's doable. That's 100% doable.
Yeah. I was about to say, and if you're reading like codes and ethics and laws and all that boring stuff, that should be no problem. But it's something different that you'll have to get used to. So really just start with like, yeah, I'm going to read 2 pages. Mm-hmm. Because once you get past that initial, it'll jump in there. And so I'm going to add that into mine. All right. And so next we had don't immediately react from your mistakes. So let's elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, so that one is both in work and in personal life and relationships and speaking with people and they say something. I mean, I'm a reaction person. So honestly, if you say something and it clicks something in my mind, immediately and then stuff like that and work-wise. So originally when I started for the judge, my first 2 weeks, I was doing everything wrong because I didn't know what I was doing at first. It took me a while to slowly build my confidence back up in legal research and putting my pen and pad on a piece of paper and saying, this is this is the law. This is what they're arguing. And my argument is this on why this. And so she told me, she was like, hey, Drake, go do some more research on this. Like, this is wrong. And so in my mind, I'm just like, I'm mad at myself because obviously we want to do it perfect on the first time. You don't want to go back. You don't want to make mistakes. And so I think that was a big thing in work. And then in life too, like people without, I would speak with people and immediately you make a mistake in a friendship, in a relationship. And my first thing, I wouldn't sit back and be like, or think about how did it affect that person and what did I do to affect that person? Or what did I do? What did I say? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately somebody would tell me something and I would just argue back with them. Because that's one of the perks of being an attorney is you get really good at arguing. But I would argue back with them and I wouldn't take a step out of the situation and say, well, no, Drake, what did you do? Why? Like, what did you do wrong? And then why did you do it? What were you thinking? What was your mindset in that space? So I believe going through relationships in life, through friendships, I believe I've talked to you about this with friendships and relationships too, in personal growth and or in my personal life. And the big thing I believe is, like I said, I react is because in some situations you don't think to stop. Or in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, I never thought to stop until recently. Until like the past couple of weeks, I stopped and I thought about everything I've done. And I was like, why did I do this? What made me want to do this? And so I think that was the reason me coming up with this goal, because I talked to you about it. I talked to my friend Nick about it, who I believe you speak to a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my legal friends, Lauren, I speak to her about it. And then she'll talk to me through the legal aspect. And then with Nick, he'll talk to me through the personal aspect. And with you, you do both sides.
Right. And so why is it that you think, so you said if it's at work, you get mad. So why? Why do you think it is that you get mad at yourself? That's what I meant, was at yourself. Not like you're going around just like slamming and flipping desk. And
Yeah, I would say it's just, I wouldn't say, see, that's a tough one because I do, like obviously you're going to get mad at yourself when you make a mistake because you don't want it to happen in certain things. And so I believe the reason she hired me is because I was the best of the best. And so in order to be the best of the best, in my mind, you don't make mistakes. But when you do, you immediately find out what it is and you fix them and correct them before you produce them, before you show it to her. So in my mind, if I made a mistake and I showed it to her, I'm not only wasting her time as a judge, but I wasted the past, whatever it was, doing research on it if I made that mistake.
And so with work, whenever you do make that mistake, are you upset because, like, is your boss mad?
Oh, no, she, okay. Like I said, so this is stemming back to the first one. Like when I do make a mistake, she'll say, no, I see what you're doing. Look at this. And so I think my thing is I just get down. I wouldn't say down on myself, but I'm like, mm-hmm. As I said in the last segment or in the last goal, I get really into my head about things.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing.
And here's one. So I think it was on a previous episode with Sam. I know you talked about that and you're like, man, that was great. One that I've stole from him is when somebody comes up to me, and I've always kind of done this, that is, you made a mistake. Awesome. What can we do to fix it? Mm-hmm. Because you're going to make mistakes along the way. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. And especially in this stage in life, that you're going to do a lot of learning more so than winning. But you don't lose. Like that's why I love that. As long as you learn something from it, you're winning. Mm-hmm. And so as long as you look at it, that opportunity to take it, and I'm with you. I'm a very sore loser.
Oh yeah. Oh no, when it's tough.
But sitting back and going, what could I have done different in that situation? And that shows a lot of growth. And I think that was where, and I kind of stopped you because I was like, ooh, this is going to come good into here, is make sure you reach out and review. So you were talking about that, if I mess up, going and talking to the judge, hey, what could I have done better here? But then you've also got me that you can come to as well. Like you were talking about, hey, I've talked to Nick and to Lauren and Judge Shepard, and then having somebody and that's what the beauty of having the outside coach is. I don't know a whole lot about the legal aspects of the law, but I understand that making decisions, making choices, and then leading people through it. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty is I kind of come into it and ask you a lot of questions about, well, why would it have been like that? Well, why would you have done A versus B? Why wouldn't she have ruled with the plaintiff on that one? And start asking, because I don't know. And I'm learning a lot about it, but I really don't know the answer. So it's trying to get you to come up with that. But I think that's a crucial one in that personal growth and development is reaching out and reviewing. And then just understanding you're going to mess up. Oh, well, it happens.
Oh yeah. I've come to learn that really, really well these past couple of weeks. 'Cause I mean, like I've been telling you, I've been reading a good bit, 48 Laws of Power, about to start the Art of Seduction. And so, reading those are kind of helped me expand my view on things and kind of open my mind up to just relaxing and taking a step back, taking yourself out of the situations you're in and taking a deep dive into why you did a certain thing, why you shouldn't have done it, why you should have done it, what was better, or what was the better thing to do in that situation.
Yeah, and I did put those up on the screen for those of you watching, the 48 Laws of Power. I haven't read that one yet, but I'm going to, as the Art of Seduction. So I know because you'd started talking to me a little bit about that, the 48 Laws of Power. What's that one about?
It's telling you, so I'm not finished yet. I'm on, I believe, Law 8 or 9 of it. Because like I'm telling you, I've been real busy these past couple of weeks. And so I really haven't, I've opened it up, I've read a word, and then being 12:30 at night and having to wake up at 5 in the morning to go to work, I would fall asleep with the book open on my chest. But it's telling you how to maintain yourself and how to, it's called 48 Laws of Power. So it's trying to show you, because it's common human nature to do certain things. So that's what it kind of looks at human nature and tells you how to get yourself out of a situation. It tells you what to do. There's one law, and it says the best thing to do is like just take a step back or to stop. See, it's crazy because it's like the one I like the most. It's like seclude yourself from others, and it shows you like who needs you or who wants to talk to you. Because like the art of you not being there shows you who really needs you and stuff like that. So I think that's like my favorite one. So I skipped ahead and read that one first, and then I came back and read Law 1, Law 2. But basically, it talks about the common human nature and talks about why people think a certain way and basically how certain things affect you in life. So that's kind of what I liked about it. What I'm liking about it.
And it sounds a lot like, too, that you were saying in there with, it really sounds like it's going to go along with one of the, hey, don't get mad about your mistakes. As it's going through, just kind of what you were saying, how it's talking about not necessarily going against human nature, but really making sure that you stand out. That'll probably fit in real well with the being more comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Oh yeah,
that's what just taking that second to think, to step back. What do I need to do? And then that kind of rolls right into number 3. If you get okay with being uncomfortable or comfortable in uncomfortable situations and not reacting to those mistakes, you eventually get used to, and I hate to say you get used to it because you still don't like when people don't like you.
Yeah, 100%. But I think that was more on the aspect of, I don't know, I feel like I was like a people pleaser or like you do things because you want to make people happy. That's kind of, like I said, it's human nature. It's what you want to do. But then some things you do, some people are just not going to like. And that's kind of was sticking in my head too of, well, this person doesn't like me because of this. I don't know why. And I kept harping over it. But like you said, there's some things you're going to do in life and people are just going to not like it. And so that's kind of another thing. It's a day-to-day thing too. And so, but that's what I liked about my goals is I feel like you accomplish two, the last one is just going to disappear.
Right. Well, and it kind of, so one that I've been working on with another young lady, I've been a coach, that is, I've been getting her to listen to a lot of Mel Robbins' podcast, and she has what she calls the let them theory. And so it made me think of that whenever you talked about, oh, well, why was this person mad at me about this?
Let them be mad.
Oh, well, let them.
I think I listened to a podcast recently. I don't know which one it was because so mine just jumps from podcast to podcast, and so I just listen. I just keep rolling through work and everything. But that came up recently, and I think that one kind of pushed out to kind of the higher tier for me. It's just because no one of it was like if they don't want to like you, let them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of trying to change somebody not liking you? So I like that one a lot.
Yeah, she does a lot of good stuff, and I love that. That's kind of always been something for me was even though I don't like when people don't like me, because I always understood growing up in the environment that I did, because I was one that my granddad always preached to me. He would always, if they're mad at you, so what? You going home to sleep with them at night? If they're mad at you, are they going to be putting food on your table? Not putting food on your table? Are they going to not put the electricity on for you? Hey, son, do what you got to do. If they're mad at you and you're making the best decision for everybody, let them be mad at you. Who cares? They'll get over it. I'm over it now. He would just sit back.
Oh yeah, but, no, that makes a lot of sense. But I do think what you had me come up with kind of it's all in the same circle. That's what when I was thinking about them, I was like, that's what they kind of all revolve in the same little circle.
Yeah. And as you're using those, it's going to apply to the job. Like it'll roll right into what you do at work. And whether you're with Judge Shepard for the next 40, 50, 60 years or move into finally get, like you were saying, the oil and petrochemical industry. They wanting to move into that. Those are all skills that are transferable. And that's why I focus so much on that, because if you learned only criminal law, it's not going into petrochemical, but learning, hey, how do I make myself more comfortable in that situation? I stretch myself every single day. That can be applied wherever you go. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. And so we've got a good ground to get going and get started on. Now, what exactly, because we didn't get to this, but I wanted to get to it before we got out of here. The listeners need to know, what exactly does a law clerk do?
So my job as a law clerk entails basically helping the judge with anything from daily court docket setup to legal research on cases, on certain things like a motion, summary judgment, exceptions. And so basically anything that a judge does, because like I said, my judge, I respect her a lot because she handles a lot of things. And she expresses to me, she was like, you don't know how much I appreciate you. You come into work every day, you come in with a smile on your face. She was like, I never see you angry. She was like, you always do your job. She was like, even sometimes we may disagree on things. She said, you come back and I tell you why we disagree, and you come back and we agree. She was like, that's what I like about you, because you never sit there and try to argue with me and stuff like that. But so basically, we just do a lot of legal research. And so this past month, we were in a 30-day jury trial, and it got extended because of the weather. It got extended because certain things happened. And so a lot of it was me doing research as they go through trial. And so in trial, I don't know if you've seen any legal movie or anything, you'll hear, oh, objection, this basis. And she has to make a judgment. She has to make a ruling on it. So after she makes the ruling, I go through legal research and decide and try to find the laws to match that ruling for her. And then at the end of the day, me and her will go over what I found, and she'll go over what she found. And then also there's a thing called the rule docket, which are pre-trial matters that have to come to court before they get a trial. So those are your motion for summary judgment. Those are your exceptions. Those are your compels, your stuff like that. So with those, to alleviate, because she does a lot of things, because she's also the chief judge. And so she's in meetings all day dealing with court business, and she comes back to the office. So my main role is to summarize those things, because she's read them. She reads them as I do them. Summarize those things, do the research, and then we'll compare notes. And then we'll basically she'll come up with the ruling using her notes. She'll listen to my notes, and then if she disagrees with what I say, then I'll go back and we'll try to work on something to try to align with how she wants to rule on the thing, on the matter.
Yeah. Now, when you said docket setup, I think you kind of touched on it right there at the end. What exactly did you mean by that?
So a docket is the everyday lineup of the court. So most court systems, I know our court system in the civil district court, we have our docket outside of the courthouse. So basically, ours is I think it's like 60 pages this month, and it's day by day, case by case. So say tomorrow on the 5th, you have case number 640, and then the next 630, and then they have certain meetings with the court that they have to be on the docket to be heard, and they have certain issues that they need to come into court. And so it's basically it's like an itinerary. It's like an itinerary for the court. I made that too. I talked in too much legal terms for that one. I went too legal for that. I should have just said it's an itinerary.
No. That's important that you talk like you are going to talk. Mm-hmm. And that's why I just asked the question. But so the docket is it's the itinerary.
It's the itinerary, yeah. So it basically, most of them have a timestamp on it. So say you have something and you go to court, it's Aaron Clark, 9:30, Drake Vargas, 11. And so from 9 till 11, the court's doing something.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. But
that's posted every single day.
Every single day. And our courthouse is posted every single day. So, ours is a month. We print out the whole month, and so you put it in there. And so that doesn't deal with, you have continuances, you have people that push things back. And so we have an everyday docket that we post in the court. So when you walk into if you walk into the court, you walk in, you go to the bench, they have, or you go to where the attorney stands, not the bench. The judge sits on the bench. So the judge's bench, she has the everyday docket. The court reporter gets a docket, I get an everyday docket, and then the attorneys who come into court, where they speak at, that's where we'll have an everyday docket. And then the month-long docket is outside the courthouse, or outside the court and where we are.
Gotcha. And so that you answered one of my questions, because I was going to, all right, so what happens if you aren't able to get to Aaron Clark tomorrow at 9:30? Mm-hmm. So y'all, the continuances and the other things that.
Oh, yeah. So generally, not all the times, is attorneys will email you and say, hey, we have this issue coming up, and we try to work with them. And if we can't work with them, they file a motion to continue, and then they'll eventually have to file a motion to reset. And so they reset that to a different date, or they continue it without date, and then stuff like that. So originally they continue, and they either put a date in, or they wait till we give them a date to where they come back.
Okay. Makes sense. And okay. So Drake, we've covered a lot, and I really appreciate you hopping on here and sharing with us. Kind of the last question I ask everybody as we're wrapping up is, what's one thing I should have asked you that I maybe didn't ask you?
That's a great question. I think one question is, what would I tell somebody to do in my similar situation? Or what would I tell myself 5 years ago?
All right, so meaning like somebody going through law school, or
somebody going through law school, or somebody just going from undergrad to the new job. So my thing is just to be, I think everybody says this, is just believe in yourself. It's like, you could do it. Because when I was taking the bar, I lived with my brother. He probably thought I was crazy. It's because I always thought daily affirmations when taking the bar are like a big thing. So you don't want to wake up and you don't want to be that guy that says, I got to do this. I don't want to do this. Oh no, I woke up in the morning and I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I mean, I can't, I'm keeping PG, but I would look at myself in the mirror and I say, oh, you're going to do this today. And then I had a sticky note that had 650 because I was passing rate from the bar. And every morning I'd wake up and I'd look at that and I'd say it in my head. And so, and that's the big thing is anything in life. If you're coming up, I think a daily affirmation, basically saying, oh, you're going to do great today. Because you don't want to start the day and say, oh, I don't want to go to work because you're going to have a bad day at work. Everybody doesn't want to go to work on Mondays, but the person who goes into work on Mondays, that's like, I'm going to work today and I'll kill it. That's the person who on Monday you see him smiling walking out instead of the person that's yawning walking out. And so I think that's what I would tell myself 5 years ago. Because going into law school, I was scared because that's a big jump. Because undergrad is undergrad. Everybody knows what undergrad is. I mean, I graduated in economics with a minor in energy. It was hard, but I did it. I did a lot of day before studying. Law school, completely different. And so I think my daily thing was going through law school. I'd wake up and I was like, I don't want to go to class. My first year. My second year, all flipped. My second year, I'd wake up and I was like, oh no, you're going to class. It's 7:30 class. We're going to get there at 6:30. We're going to wait outside the door. So I think that's what I would go back and tell myself is to push yourself to be better. Don't just accept where you are.
Yeah. And another, even going through the college or anything like that, one I used to do because when I was going through, especially my last 2.5 years of college, I was working 40 hours a week and going to school 15, 18 hours. So there wasn't a lot of free time. The only way I could study didn't happen. So, what I would do is on my school, I would go right after I finished class. If I couldn't go to the library right after I finished class, I would then come home and type my notes. So all my notes were always on the computer because I knew if I could get it within 24 hours out and see it again, I was more likely to remember it. It'd only take me 20 minutes to knock that out. But doing that, I didn't have to when it came time for the big test. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, I hadn't seen this material since September 1st. It's now December. So that's really a good one that you said, was switching the mind frame once you got there to having to attack. I'm going to study this material every single day.
Oh yeah. And then I was blessed at the time to have a boss who basically helped me arrange my schedule to work and be able to study during lunch. And so, cause I know not a lot of people got that blessing like I did.
No. And it's one way or the other, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely tough. No, I think that's a good one. And then the affirmation, that's one that I have on my 7 keys to personal growth. Y'all go listen to episode 4. I talk about that. Affirmations, they're so important and they're easy to do. I've got one that I read every single morning. It's not in here in my office, but I keep it at my desk at work. I've got it. It's part of my bookmarker for the book I'm reading. That way I'm forced to look at it every single day. Eventually you believe what you tell yourself every single day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, like you were saying, if you say, man, I don't think I can pass this, you're right. I don't even argue with people when they tell me that anymore. I can't do it. You're right.
Yeah,
I'll find somebody else and I move on.
After day 6, after day 3 of the bar, I laughed and I was like, I don't think I did too well. And I think I called Nick and he was like, oh no, you did well. He was like, I need you to say that to me back. And I was like, I did well. He was like, all right, get that bad juju out. And I was like, all right. So after that, that's the last thing I said. But I think that helped me a lot during that process.
Yeah, the support system definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, and Drake, I really appreciate you getting on here. If anybody wanted to reach out and connect with you, I know they can't right now. There's a lot of different things that you've told me you can't do based on your current job. But if anybody wanted to reach out and connect with you, how do they connect with you?
So the best thing would be to for LinkedIn, and I believe you just pulled it up. Yep, you just go to that and then message me on LinkedIn. I think that would be the best way to contact me as of now. But once I make the transition after I leave Judge Shepard, then we can talk different.
Yeah. And Drake, it was a pleasure, man. I appreciate you getting on here and being vulnerable and open to go through and talk through those things. And I think that's important for people to see, that it's not like having the personal coach is not always just, it's not what they see, like Nick Saban on the sideline yelling at you. It's
Oh no, you've done that a couple times. You've done
well, oh, look at the time. No, but I think that's important that people see that it's not just, okay, while I'm not going to let you get off the hook of certain things, but they're not always just, it's not always serious.
Oh yeah. Well, even on our phone calls, we joke a lot. I think we joke. We'll talk serious about 10 to 15, joke for about 5, then get back to serious. So it's just all about being comfortable.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
well, Drake, I'm going to let you go. I know you got a lot you're preparing for. I appreciate you hopping on and sharing with us, man.
Yes, sir. No problem. Anytime.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but wasn't Drake awesome? We covered a lot of good stuff in there. And I really do appreciate him being open and vulnerable, to go through and really just show what a coaching session looks like and the things that we go through and talk about in those sessions. And it's not all the scary thing. I do like that he joked with me about, and when I said, yeah, it's not Nick Saban yelling at you. And yes, we did have those, I like to call them truthful conversations with me a little bit more excited back when he was playing for me back in the day. But now we don't do that so much. We don't really shy away from the issues. We attack them and we bring it and take it head on with what he's coming across. But few key takeaways that we had, or that I saw in the episode, and those of y'all watching it is up on the screen. It's important to set small, achievable goals. And the reason we want to do this is I want to set myself up for success. And much like we were talking about, and we've kind of been talking about so far in 2025 and setting ourselves up to be the best we can be, is I do not want to give myself unmanageable goals. So my goal may be to one day bench press 315 pounds. But if I go to the gym, it's not happening today. I've got to start where I'm at. And you take very small steps. So with his reading, I said, look, right now you're not reading. Now, you want to do it at the end of the day. Put that book on your pillow, and then before you go to bed, read 2 pages. It's creating that new habit right there to read and go through, and then it makes those other goals that he talked about more manageable. We talked about, that when you do make a mistake, take a moment to reflect. Remember, failure isn't final. And I love the next point, is that mistakes are an opportunity for learning and growth. He talked about that with Judge Shepard and her being able to come in and say, no, go look at this. I want you to go find this. I know it says that. Then instead of giving him the answer, she guided him to that. It's an awesome opportunity. When you mess up, that you now know what not to do. It's awesome. Keep trying. That's the only way you're going to get better. I thought this was a cool one. And we all do this. Not everybody's going to like you. Focus on you. Focus on your growth. Because honestly, the better that you become, the more people you can go help. That's always got to be the goal, is for you to be better and then go help more people. We talked about how mentorship can significantly enhance your professional development. I think that's one that Drake is doing a real good job on. Right now, he's got 2 excellent mentors, and myself and Judge Shepard. And then I know he also has his father is a great businessman and entrepreneur, as well as his mom, and then a couple other people as well. You've got to have that if you want to get better. Be open to it. You've got to be open to it, because if you have a good mentor, not only do they want to see you succeed, but they're going to give you the harsh truth. They're going to give you the harsh reality. but they'll also be your friend in the moment, because they're going to celebrate with you, and then they're going to be sad with you when those sad things happen. It's important that you have that, and you're going to grow from that. Reading is essential for that personal growth and development. And then make sure you embrace that discomfort, those uncomfortable situations. Embrace that discomfort as part of your growth. As one of my mentors, Lexington, says, that he doesn't want your best every single day. He wants me to give him my stretch every single day. Because my stretch means that I've got to go better than my best. And then this was so good as we closed out the show. How important it is to believe in yourself and push for continual improvement. Drake really talked about that, how he had to give himself affirmations and believe in himself as he was working to pass the bar. And those of you that don't know, we talked almost daily during that time, because it's a grueling process. He's studying, like literally in the state of Louisiana, he's studying just about everything there is to study and know about law. And for him to be able to go through and really do that, it required a lot. It was very mentally draining and tough on him, while also still having a job. So he had to be able to do that, and he had to have people that he could lean on and all that other good stuff in that. So guys, it's so important for you with the mentor on that. Also, if you want to reach out to me, so if you're looking to get your personal growth or leadership training, it could be for you, yourself, or at an event, reach out to me. I'd love to be able to help you and to inspire you on this journey. All of my contact information, it is listed below. If you're watching, it is up on the screen. Hit me up, and I will get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. And remember, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I will see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.